So I'm going to share my screen here and start my presentation. So today's talk will primarily focus on urban design and transportation planning. And before I dive deeper into the content, I would like to introduce myself briefly so that you get to know me, and I hope to get to know all of you. My academic background is in architecture. I studied Bachelor of Architecture and Master of Architecture in Urban Design. I also did a second Master in Urban Planning. The focus of my planning study was international practice in the developing Global South. The best thing that ever happened to me in my career and personal journey was several international opportunities for study and work. As an architect, my first job was with an Australian company in the Doha, Qatar office. I was raised in the Middle East, and so it was fascinating for me to experience the fast-paced building of cities. I worked on many large-scale projects ranging from Sheikh's Palace to stadiums, malls, and residential townships. It was a good mix of vernacular Arabic architecture and contemporary modern architecture. And after working for some time, I wanted to explore planning at the policy level, which is beyond the parameters of design. So I moved to London, UK, and got my degree from UCL, University College London, the Bartlett School. Furthermore, I also had two other international study trips. One included participating in the World Urban Forum in Vancouver, Canada, and where I met some of the top urban thinkers from around the world, and worked on a global studio that happened at University of British Columbia. Another trip was to Karachi, Pakistan for a joint urban design studio that addressed socioeconomic issues and slum settlements in the old city of Karachi. So after all these adventures, I moved to Illinois and started working with Regional Planning Commission, which is also an MPO for the region. And I'm an associate planner, and I primarily work in the area of urban design and transportation planning. And I will touch upon more details of my work in just a few more minutes. So besides work, you will find me traveling places. I love to take public transportation, and I believe meeting people on a train or bus or just simply walking the streets is one of the best ways to know a new place and people. And I prefer exploring like a local. Moreover, I'm also very passionate about the cause of social justice and gender equality. It is an important part of my work. And so if any of you would ever like to chat about this, please do get in touch with me. I'll be happy to share a virtual coffee or meet in person, hopefully soon. Moreover, public speaking and civic engagement is also an exciting part of my work, where we actually get to connect with the communities, generate a dialogue on proposals, and receive feedback for what we do. Lastly, I'll be very pleased to connect with you all if you have any questions or simply want to share your next big idea about the world. So I would now like to give you all a quick overview of what I'm going to talk to you all about today. First, I want to give you a basic idea about architecture, urban design, and urban planning. I believe most of you will be graduating as transportation engineers, and it is important that you all have a base understanding of the larger built environment in whatever work you do. I will then walk you through some of the functions of a MPO or a regional planning commission. Then I will highlight a few details of a transportation improvement program, which is one of the primary functions of a MPO and a key document that I believe you all will have to refer at some point if you are working in the field of transportation engineering. And lastly, I will talk about one very interesting project that I designed and led as a project leader. So let us begin with a basic idea about architecture and urban design. What is architecture? We usually associate architecture with buildings. This is a very narrow definition. The notion of architecture is quite complex. Vitruvius, the author of the 10 books on architecture, which was written in 25 BC, identified 3 branches of architecture. According to him, it was not only buildings, but everything from houses and roads to hydraulics and clocks is architecture. Does this mean a bridge is an architectural structure? Can a bicycle shed be called a building? These are interesting questions. Often zoning codes define structures that can be inhabited by a human, and that can be a legal definition of architecture. So nonetheless, architecture relates to the design of space. It is based on order, symmetry, rhythm, scale, and its interface with human experience. And in this respect, it is important to consider and understand architecture when we plan and design transportation systems. Now, let us take the concept of space from a smaller individual building scale and apply it at a larger urban scale. And this is called urban design. Aldo Rossi defined urban design as the architecture of a city. Often, urban design is seen as a bridge between architecture and planning. It thrives in that gap. So it breaks down the traditional barriers between professionals that are engaged separately, like planners, engineers, architects, landscape architects, sustainability advisors, social scientists, or data scientists. And it is a collaborative discipline that also brings policymakers, public officials, and communities in the decision-making process. Congress for New Urbanism, CNU, defines urban design as the relationship between the art of building and the making of community. And this happens through citizen-based participatory planning and design. I would like to circle this concept to my very first point in the beginning. Our work is always going to be multidisciplinary, and we have to understand many other subject areas to work with each other.